Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. The development of my dream acreage is well underway as I take what was once bare land and transform it into something beautiful. Here's a quick recap of everything that's happened since I bought the 3.5 acre lot nearly 4 years ago. After many months of meticulously planning, construction began on my new house and shop June of 2021, and after a long 14 months, they were both complete, but that's not the focus of this channel. It's all about the yard development here, and there was no shortage of work in that regard. One of the first things I did was have a well drilled so I could use it to serve as the main irrigation supply for the eventual couple thousand trees that I want to plant, which I quickly got to work prepping the tree line while the house was still being built so I could get trees in the ground as soon as possible. That involved a whole lot of topsoil and a lot of time spent in my Bobcat working to get everything just perfect. Once it was, I started on the huge task of getting all those trees in the ground, which is going to look a little something like this. Multiple rows of trees along the entire property with a thick and dense section on one side called an eco buffer. This of course is going to require a very robust irrigation system and some preventative measures to keep rabbits and hopefully the deer out too. Those preventative measures entail fencing both the exterior and interior of the tree line, though the interior will come later on when I get all the trees planted. For the fence, I'm using T-posts and 54-inch stucco wire. For the irrigation system, I decided to run a 1.5-inch main line around the entire property, which will then feed all of the valve boxes around the yard and ultimately every single tree and shrub that I plant. And that's pretty well where the last episode ended. I had rented a trencher and finished the trench for the main irrigation line that will run around the entire yard. Now what the plan is here is to have the main 1.5-inch line snake around the entire property, and then I'll tee off of it to go to each valve box, which is exactly where we'll pick things up in this episode since I forgot to highlight this in the last one. After having marked out the location of each of the 10 valve boxes, I grabbed Bobby and the auger attachment to dig the holes because I'm a work smart, not hard kind of guy, so I dug down as best I could with the auger and then took care of the rest by hand. Now what I'm trying to do here is just to level the bottom out and get the depth just right so that when the valve box is in here it's sitting just above grade, knowing that I'll have grass to factor in too. Okay, well moving to another spot, and this area I actually decided to put 2 valve boxes in because these are going to feed irrigation for grass potentially next summer. And since I haven't planned out what size rotors I'll be going with, I wanted to ensure that I had an ample amount of zones here. Alright, with the valve boxes all dug and roughly set in place, here's a quick look around the yard at what things are looking like now. Okay, it's finally time to start on the fun stuff, and that's actually getting some valves in each of the boxes that are going to be feeding the tree lines and eco buffer, which is actually only 3 boxes, but that still requires a massive amount of 3/4 inch poly pipe. Each of these rolls is 500 feet long, which is going to allow me to run as much of the line in continuous lengths as possible. Now at this point, I've already gone ahead and taken care of the couple of connections on the main 1.5 inch line and teed off of it, reducing down to 3/4 inch line to feed each of the valve boxes. Those weren't the prettiest of connections, so I'm going to leave these points open for a while once there's water in the line to make sure nothing is leaking. The next step though, before I can get to actually hooking any of the valves up, is to get irrigation wire run into the trench. And if you haven't seen or heard of irrigation wire before, you can get it in various strand amounts. I went with a 7-strand line, which means one of the wires is your ground wire, and then the other 6 could be hooked up to a valve. So basically I needed one of these wires run to each of the 10 valve boxes, and the other end of it is run into the mechanical room in the shop to then hook up to the irrigation controller. Here's a quick look at where I'm at. I've got irrigation wire run to each valve box, all the connection points to the main line are made, and I've even dropped conduit into the trenches that I dug to each side of the lane for future posts. With all of that done, it was time to start hooking up valves. Okay guys, well, starting on the first valve box here, which is going to feed the couple rows of trees behind the shop here and then up the east side of the yard, and I figured I'd sort of explain things a little further in case there's some of you out there who are curious or don't know a whole bunch about irrigation. So as you can see here, I've got a big hole dug for the valve box and then some rock underneath the valves, and then once I'm done the valve box, we'll kind of just sit on top of all of this. But honestly, if you've never worked on sprinklers or irrigation stuff before, it's actually pretty easy. Off my supply line, I've got a valve for each of the tree lines so that I can run them all separately if I want, and then it's really just a matter of hooking up one end of the 500-foot roll onto the valve, crimping it on so it doesn't leak, and then I'll simply just roll the line out and then pop drip emitters in the line for each and every tree. Okay, moving to the back of the yard now, where I'll have 5 rows of trees, and I've got 2 more lines to get hooked up here, crimped on, and then I'll lay the line out the entire length of the tree line. And as I do that, you'll notice that I've got a whole bunch of tiny little spruce and pine trees in the ground already. And then these last 2 lines I'm running now are going to be for all of my berry bushes. So those being Saskatoon berries, Haskeps, which is a cross between a blueberry and raspberry, and then I'll also have a little raspberry patch in there too. Now as I run the line out on the east side here, you'll see I've got 2 rows of spruce and pine in the beer truck pattern, and then a row of a few varieties of lilacs that extends from the studio down the tree line about halfway. Okay guys, after about a week of 10-hour days, I've finally got all the valves hooked up and all the lines run for each tree line. I'm getting really close to being able to turn the water on, and I hope that I don't have 100 leaks on my hands. Honestly, this irrigation project has been a massive undertaking for me, and if I'm successful with it and everything works like it should, I'll consider it my crowning achievement in life. Alright, with all the irrigation taken care of for now, it was time to get the main line trench closed in, with the exception of any of the joins or areas where I teed off to a valve box, because I just have a feeling that something is going to leak somewhere when I turn the water on, and it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to fix it if those connection points are still exposed. So what I'm doing here is just trying to use the bucket to push the dirt back into the trench, and then I'll come back and flatten everything out later. Okay, well, after spending so much time in the tree lines and seeing the huge amount of weeds that were already starting to grow, I thought it was time to make an investment in rototillers, so I picked up this little Honda, which will be great for smaller areas, and then his big brother who uses a GX 160 engine, which will be perfect for in the eco buffer, as I can't fit the tractor in between the rows there. And because when I buy a new toy like this, I feel compelled to put it to use immediately, I took it over to the eco buffer and got straight to work. And let me tell you guys, this thing is fun to use. It's an absolute beast and just chews through the dirt. Okay guys, well that is where I'm going to leave it for this video. An enormous amount of work got done, but guess what? There is piles more to do, including actually turning the water on, along with some major weed management. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you comment, smash the thumbs up button, and subscribe to the channel. And do me a favor, please share this video with a family member or a friend and get them hooked on the channel too, so that we can really make it blow up, because I love making these videos for you guys. All right, well that's gonna do it for this video, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.